Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 10 ranked online gameplay using none other than Colby Covington. And we're going to be coming up against the Division 12 Kamaru Usman. Obviously right now the divisions don't really mean anything. You can be in Division 1 but be a top 100 player. You're still trying to climb the ranks, and it's taken me a while due to all the rage quits and stuff like that. So I'm still in the lower divisions, still climbing. And hopefully I'll be able to give you the higher division gameplays soon, because right now a lot of the opponents I'm getting are just quitting, and you don't really get much points for quitting, hence why I'm still on the lower end of the divisions. But onto the gameplay, using someone like Colby Covington, you're gonna look to overwhelm your opponent. I use him a bit like I'd use Max Holloway in terms of the pressure. Obviously Holloway's boxing's levels beyond Colby's, but Colby can really wrestle. You can really chain wrestle really well. I look to implement body strikes, but obviously there's the danger of getting uppercutted, especially with Usman. See, coming up against Usman, you're both wrestling so good that it sort of counteracts each other. Neither opponent really wants to wrestle unless they're under pressure or feel that their wrestling's levels above their opponent. So here I'm not trying to initiate the wrestling. I was waiting for my opponent to try, and as you can see there, my opponent shoots. And normally when your opponent starts shooting, it either means that they're more confident on the grappling end rather than the striking. And obviously using Kamaru, you are going to want to grapple. Yes, he's had a buff to his stand up, his powers a bit more, but obviously you're going to look to use what got him on top of the mountain, which was his wrestling. I mean, every time I come up against the Kamaru Usman that wants to strike, I end up winning mostly. So as you can see, he's already shot for one takedown. I'm waiting for the next attempts, and as you can see, he goes for another one here. And this is obviously just good for morale, knowing that my opponent's struggling to take me down. We catch my opponent with a beautiful left hook there. Man, I'm trying not to get overconfident, but the thing is with Colby, losing the fight or winning the fight, you just have to pressure constantly. And that's exactly what I'm looking to do here. And I notice my opponent's moving his head back a lot, trying to move to avoid the hook, and then probably catch with an uppercut to stun me. So I'm trying to work the body, and as you can see, doing a beautiful job right now. And we get my opponent down here. So that knockdown's pretty much won us the round 100%. My uppercut's starting to land, and I'm starting to throw a leg kicks here and there now just to get my opponent thinking. Again, my opponent goes for a takedown, another good deny, goes for another takedown, and another deny. So my opponent clearly wants the fight to go to the ground, and if the fight continues in this way, it's going to be very difficult for my opponent to get something out of this fight. My opponent's going to need to make big adjustments, especially coming into the second round. And as you can see, both our staminas are quite low already. Good thing it's a 3-round fight, which is why I'm pushing the pace a bit more, because if this was a 5-round fight, very hard. And as you can see, we catch my opponent with the straight there. And that's one thing, if your opponent keeps throwing jabs or goes to throw a hook, if you throw your straight, it's going to beat them. And a lot of people don't utilise the straight properly, and if you do, it's a beautiful weapon. Beautiful question mark kick there. If that landed, which it does there, but had it landed prior, I reckon, just because of where my stamina was or where my opponent's stamina was, I reckon it could have been a finish. So that is a beautiful first round. I mean, the display there, if you look at the numbers, almost 50% of my strikes were actually significant. Throwing a very high volume strikes, really trying to tire out my opponent. And this is what you want to do. You want to bring chaos to it. He's using his so-called dragon energy in this fight to try and get Kamaru Usman out. But coming into the second round, I knew that my opponent's going to have to change something. Probably look to utilise the wrestling more. And it's a sign of facing a good player when they're trying to mix stuff up, especially when they're suffering, when they're losing. They need to rework their game plan and figure out something that's going to work. So as you can see, my opponent goes for a takedown here and does a very good job, and gets me down right in the centre of the octagon, which is exactly where my opponent would want me, so I can't cage walk back up. And we get the sprawl here, and here I'm being patient. I want to see where Usman's going to go. We've got the stamina advantage, which is good for certain transitions, as you can see. Beautiful. Look at that, flip straight into side control. We literally done the fireman's carry, and we're getting the deniers off here. Throwing elbows, get my opponent into the crucifix. And this is what you've got to do. I mean, if my opponent wants to wrestle me, that's more than fine, but it's just going to be a matter of time before I reverse you, and I'm going to make my opponent now not want to wrestle. So it's important to mentally break your opponent's if this is the area he thought he could take me in and do well, I want to show him it's the area that he doesn't want to be in, because right now the stand up, I'm getting the better of it. So that was another good thing for morale there. And it's very rare to get that transition. I haven't got it yet in any of the videos I've posted, so it's quite a cool little transition there. I think you need to be quite a high level wrestler to do it, but it's a very cool animation. I wish they had more of those in the game. But right now my opponent's doing a better job of dealing with stand-ups. You see, really working my body there, and I overextended with my punches and it left my stamina low. Luckily I was fortunate enough to recover. And if you look at my body health here, it's very, very low. So it's something that I've picked up on and I'm going to have to be careful of. Because now that my body is vulnerable, it means that I'm going to be looking to block my body more on my opponent and go to my head. So I've started to work my opponent's lead leg. And this was so unfortunate. I actually wanted the body. And as you can see, I'm really on the ropes here, like really, really bad. My opponent's pressuring me loads, but thankfully, because of the work I'd done in the first round, my opponent's stamina's lower than mine, so he can't pressure me the way he needs to. But yeah, my opponent gets the knockdown, and now I've got to be very careful this round, because I've taken a lot of damage, my body's really hurt, and my head's starting to hurt also, so I need to sort of dial back on the intensity, look to pick my strikes more, and I'm going to start to work my opponent's body and start to work my opponent's leg, because my opponent's head health's already pretty low. And I know that if I can make it out this round, I should be alright, and hopefully finish my opponent in the next. So you've just got to have good decision making in situations like this. I know that there's certain things that my opponent's doing now. As you can see, my opponent's moving his head a lot to his right, so it'd be the other way for me. And I'm picking up on these little things, and I want to look to capitalise on them in the next round, because right now I've taken a lot of damage. So if we look at the stats for that round, as you can see, he's had more significant strikes, I've had more total. Obviously we did a little bit of damage on the ground, which was very fortunate, but if I was a judge scoring that fight, that round, I would definitely go to my opponent. So this round, there's a lot at stake here, and I'm really looking for the finish, because the judges are just as bad as they are in real life on the game, so I can't leave anything to them. And as you can see, the straight I was on about catches my opponent, and my opponent's head health's really low. That's the saving grace for me here, is that the work I done in round 1 really, really hurt my opponent's head health. And even in round 2, when I was throwing the elbows on the ground, it done a significant amount of damage to my opponent's head. So I know my opponent's going to be quite worried about the head, and as you can see, I'm really mixing in these leg kicks now. Obviously they're not doing a tremendous amount of damage, because Colby doesn't throw leg kicks often, and his stats, aren't the greatest for leg kicks. And as you can see, I'm trying to move in and out the pocket. Went for a head kick there. Again, my opponent's trying to look to grapple now, and that's just because obviously my opponent knows these head health's quite low, and at the moment my weakest area is of course my body, and my opponent hasn't been landed to my body. So right now my opponent's stuck, doesn't really know what to do, and whenever my opponent goes to my body, I'm very tempted to throw an uppercut, but I'm just waiting for the right time, because if my stamina's low and I miss the uppercut, you get the animation for the takedown, just spear me or catch me with something, and I'd be in danger. As you can see, these leg kicks are really, really working now. My opponent's leg's really hurting. And that's why normally you see me throw leg kicks from the get-go, from the first round. But obviously using Colby I didn't. And it was a little adjustment I made. And as you can see, it's been working. So my opponent ends up getting me down here. And I was very interested to see what my opponent was going to do. Obviously he didn't have much success with the first takedown he landed in round 2. So we block, and then I tried to block again. I wanted to get that animation to flip my opponent, didn't work. Then I here get to the sprawl. I mean, that transition is just so quick, it's the easiest way. And obviously my opponent learnt from the first time and got up straight away. My opponent's really obviously trying to work the body, and I'm bearing that in mind. As you can see, I'm pretty much holding the low block for a majority of this. We catch the knee. I could have looked for the takedown, but I felt confident enough on the feet just because I knew how low my opponent's head health was, and we catch my opponent there with a knee, which was beautifully timed. And you see now we're really putting on the pressure here, trying to get my opponent out of there. And I'm still trying to mix up my strikes, even when I'm pressuring my opponent like this. We baited my opponent with the knee, he went for the knee back, catch my opponent with a beautiful right hook, and that's enough to finish the fight. So it was a very good fight. I feel like this was a very good display of how Colby fights in real life, especially round 1. I think that was a very good job of overwhelming my opponent, and it just shows you how one good round can really dictate the rest of the fight. We had to make adjustments because the second round wasn't the greatest. We came out in the third and we adjusted, and obviously we got the result that we wanted. So the scorecards are coming up now, and you can look through those and see how the fight was scored and the total stats. I just want to say thank you for the support recently on the channel. It's been very good. We're gaining traction, gaining more subscribers. I'm very thankful for everyone that likes, comments and subscribes. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment for any video suggestions, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.